Back to the next video. In today's video I will show you how you can send data back and forth to an embedded godot game inside an existing Android application. So I have already made a video on how to embed godot in existing Android application, but in this video we will also see how to send data back and forth from Android to embedded godot game. So yeah, let's get started. So if you are interested, you can follow this documentation which I'm showing you, but I have written some helpful cheat sheet points for myself so that I can quickly show you all the stuff. So what you will have to do is, first I have created an Android project, as you can see over here, and I'm using godot 4.2, so you don't have to worry about it, like this is not an old video. So let's get started. So firstly, I have created Android project. Next I will have to copy this thing inside my Android manifest. This is because if your orientation changes, there is a possibility that your godot embedded view might get crash. That's why we have to be careful with this. We have to add this. Next we have to add this library also. So at the time of the recording I am using godot 4.2.0, but if you are watching in this future, make sure you update the version of the library. You can find the version of the library on Maven Central. So here you will have to update this version depending on what version you are using. Next here we also have to add this line inside default config, because there are some dot files which are created inside godot, and we don't want our Android project to ignore those files. If you see the documentation, it suggests use AAPT options or something like that, but that is deprecated. The new thing is Android resources. So here I have mentioned that is deprecated, so don't use that. Unfortunately the documentation has not been updated. Next we will have to update our view. So I will go to activity_main, res layout activity_main. Okay, I will sync now so that our library is implemented, and by the time it is okay, it has already finished syncing. So I will just take a frame layout. So this will help us to embed our godot view inside Android. So I will set the width to 0 dp, and suppose I will set the height to 300 dp. Okay, and I'll assign some ID. So you can assign any ID. I will just assign this ID itself. You don't have to use this ID. Okay, and I'll remove the bottom constraint. So this is our entire frame layout which will help us to embed our godot game. Now I will just take two buttons. So I will take button 1. Okay, I'll take wrap content. I will assign some ID to this. ID btn1. Then I'll assign this constraints as well. Okay, and then I'll assign constraint top to bottom of godot fragment container. Okay, and I'll assign some text. So text button 1. Okay, next I'll take another button, and this will be button 2. I'll update the ID as well, button 2, and this will be below button 1. Sorry, just do Control Z, Command C, and I'll just update this as well. Okay, now what I will do is, you have to use this inside your activity as well. So firstly you have to extend godot host. So go to your main activity, extend godot host. I will implement import, add the import, and I will implement the members. Next here you can see that we have to get reference to our button as well as to our godot fragment. So that's what I'm doing over here. I'll add this imports as well. Next I'll just, so here we are initializing the two buttons. I'll quickly add those. Okay, so these are not our IDs, our IDs are different. So this is my ID, button 1. Okay, and this is my ID for button 2. So why I am creating this button is because with the help of this button I will be sending some data from our Android view to our godot view, and I will be updating our godot view. So I will basically upload, so we will be displaying a gltf model, and basically I will update that gltf model depending on what button you have pressed. So I will just add button 1 dot set on click listener, button 2 dot set on click listener as well. Okay, next we have to also initialize our godot fragment, so that's what I will be doing. So this is actually the frame layout which we had written. So here you can see you will have to update this with the id which you have written over here, okay, as well as this id also. So here we are just creating a fragment for our godot. Next we will initialize one plugin. So this has not been defined yet, but I will show you how exactly we'll define. So this is fine, and inside the button click listener we are just calling this method called show gltf. Also I will show you where exactly we are creating it. So what I am just doing is this two, like there will be a gltf model called bag, and here I am also assigning a gltf model called apple. So this will be present inside my godot game, and once I click on this button I will update my gltf model to show this respective gltf models. So it can be anything in your case, it doesn't has to be a gltf model, it can be any logic once you click on a button. Okay, now we'll just replace this. Okay, so we have already overridden this method, but we need to implement it as well. So we are done with this. Next we also override these two methods. So this get host plugins is already present inside this interface of godot which we have implemented, and I will add import for this. And here we need to define this app plugin. So we don't have this app plugin yet. So this app plugin will help us to send signals from Android to the godot view. And here you can see we are initializing the plugin, and this method is been called inside the onCreate method. So if you go, so here now we will create this app plugin class. So I will just create this app plugin class inside kotlin, and for now I will just copy paste it. So typically here you will write whatever logic you want to for sending the for emitting the signal. So I will just add this imports, and here you can see the signal name is show gltf, show underscore gltf. So you will have to use the same name on the Android side, on the godot side as well. And here you can see this is the method show gltf. So we are calling it over here. Sorry, it is showing issue because I have not created one, so we need to create this variable as well. So inside activity you will have to create a variable for our class. So here you can see now it is able to call this method of show gltf. So this method which we have defined over here. Okay, let's see what it shows next. So next we have to create an assets folder, and inside that we have to create our godot project. So I will just simply create an assets folder. So inside our Android project, so write new folder, assets folder, then click finish. So here you can see it has created the assets folder for us. Now we just have to create a godot project inside this asset folder. Don't create any subfolders inside this asset folder. So I will show you exactly how the assets folder will look like. You can see inside my assets folder I have created my godot project using godot editor. So there is no subfolder inside assets folder, and that subfolder contains your godot project. That won't work. Your entire godot project should be inside the assets folder without any subfolder. So I have already created this, and I have also dragged and dropped 3 gltf model which I will be showing inside my scene. Now this logic will be completely up to you what you are doing inside your godot game. So I will just take a 3D scene. Okay, I'll save it as well as save. Okay, I'll create a simple godot like 3D viewer, And thank you to KennyNL for giving us. So I have copy pasted this GLTF models from KennyNL. So if you are trying to follow the exact tutorial which I am showing, make sure your GLTF model does not have separate files, like there is a separate file for texture, separate file for material. It should be, entire thing should be in one file. If there is separate files, then when you click on the button, then your app might crash. So be careful with that if you are following the entire tutorial which I am showing. But you will find these GLTF models online, or just search for Kenny's food pack 3D models. Okay, next what I will do, I will go over here, I will add a scene to our scene to our scene. I'll add an environment, as well as I will add a camera. And what I will do, I will make the camera move backwards, like on the Z axis, so that our scene can be visible. Okay, and I'll also create, we have to create a script on our node 3D, so I'll create a script for that. Okay, now let's see what it says further. Okay, we are done with this, now all I will do is I will just copy paste this code. So I will show you I will tell you what exactly the code does. Okay, so copy paste the code, paste it over here. Now we don't require this GLTFs slash food kit and all this, because there are no such folders. Our apple.glb or avocado.glb are directly within the res folder, so we can directly write something like this. Okay, and okay, so here you can see I'm taking I'm taking a node 3D, and I'm calling this load underscore GLTF. So what I will do is, firstly I will show this avocado.glb file. Okay, and here we are initializing this file from our Android project which we have created. So if you remember, we have created this app plugin, and it has a method called show GLTF, so the signal basically. So if you don't remember, I'll show you. So show GLTF. Okay, and once this signal is called, we are calling this underscore load GLTF method as well. So once inside this process, what I'm doing is I'm just rotating this GLTF model by on the Z axis. And if you see the load GLTF method, what I'm doing is whenever you call this load GLTF method, when the button is pressed from the Android side, we are removing the current child and we are updating to whatever GLTF model you are passing it from the Android side. That's why this GLTF path will come from the Android side, but by default I'm initializing with some GLB model. And if you remember, we were, for the first button we are calling apple.glb, for the second we were calling back.glb. So those GLTF models should be present over here. If you don't pass, so if you remember, we are passing something like this. Okay, now go to project settings. Okay, so what we will have to do, go project settings, then we'll have to go to window. So this is our Android project. So now you can decide whatever width or height you want to give. I will give it 400 by 800, and I'll make the orientation as portrait as well. Okay, now we'll run this in Godot first to check whether our project runs or not. Select current scene. Okay, so here you can see my avocado, it is rotating. So what I'll do, I'll run this on Android and show it to you as well. So if you can connect your Android device via USB or wireless debugging, depends on you, but you will have to run your project from Android Studio. Okay, so I'll quickly connect my Android device and show it to you. You guys can see the output over here. Now the output might be a little bit laggy because I am connected via wireless debugging for my Android device, but as you can see, the avocado is rotating. Now what I will do is I will click on button 1. So here you can see, now I'm displayed with this back GLTF model or GLB model, whatever you call it, and it is rotating as well. Now what if I press button 2? So here you can see that it is started displaying Apple as well. So yeah, I will press button 1 again, and it has displayed started displaying the GLTF model, so back GLTF model. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye.